Big news in the Alec Baldwin Rust case. Baldwin is now suing the people who prosecuted him. Now, the named defendants in this newly filed lawsuit include Special Prosecutor Carrie Morrissey and the Santa Fe County District Attorney, along with other investigators and city officials. The lawsuit says they attempted to, quote, scapegoat Baldwin for the acts and omissions of others, regardless of the evidence or the law. The actor was charged with the crime of involuntary manslaughter for the 2021 death of cinematographer Halyna Hutchins after a prop gun that he shot fired a live round. And it killed Halyna Hutchins. Now, the trial dismissed after the court found out that evidence pertaining, particularly some ammunition, was withheld by the prosecution.
The state's discovery violation has injected a needless, incurable delay into the instant jury trial. Dismissal with prejudice is warranted to ensure the integrity of the judicial system and the efficient administration of justice. Your motion to dismiss with prejudice is granted.
Now, the Special Prosecutor Carrie Morrissey issued a statement in response to Alec Baldwin's lawsuit, and this is a statement that we normally hear things like this said by defendants, but here it's being said by the Special Prosecutor. We're quoting here. In October 2023, the prosecution team became aware that Mr. Baldwin intended to file a retaliatory civil lawsuit. We look forward to our day in court. How about that? So we may get an Alec Baldwin trial after all. You know, the last one was cut short when the judge kicked the case, saying there was no way she could right the wrong when there were these rounds that were not tested, and the prosecution didn't tell the defense about it, didn't tell them they had them. It could have been potentially exculpatory evidence, and they just decided themselves, oh, it's not relevant, we're not going to turn it over. And that was a huge problem, fatal to the case. So let's dig in and talk about this lawsuit now. Alec Baldwin, oh, he seems mad. Let me bring in our special guest, law professor, also criminal defense attorney and former prosecutor in New Mexico, Cynthia Armijo, on the show. Cynthia, good morning. Always love having you on the program. Okay, so what do you think about Mr. Baldwin firing back?
So, you know, prosecutors have ethical rules that they need to follow. And one of the most important ones is to seek justice, not convictions. This isn't about getting a conviction at all costs. It's about seeking justice. And so I can tell you that these malicious prosecution cases are pretty rare. But in this case, there are some discovery issues. I think the judge had established that. And remember that the prosecutor is responsible for providing exculpatory evidence or evidence that tends to show that the defendant is not guilty to the other side. And in this case, they're alleging that that was not provided.
Right, Cynthia. In this moment, I mean, it gives me chills, you know, where you see his face, that moment where he learned that the judge was saying this wrong that occurred in no way can be corrected by the court. That there was no way to come back from this mistake that these prosecutors made by not turning over that potentially exculpatory evidence. And for a little refresher on it, they were rounds that they were live rounds that Hannah Gutierrez Reed's father, Thel Reed, had used in a live fire training session with Seth Kenny, who was the man who was providing the dummy rounds to the Rust production. And people like Jason Bowles, the attorney who represents Hannah Gutierrez, fantastic attorney, has said, if those rounds had been tested, it may have given some insight as to whether the live rounds got on set perhaps because of Seth Kenney. We don't know, but isn't that something the state would want to explore? Cynthia, dovetailing off of your last point, an excellent one about how prosecutions are about justice, not about getting convictions. And sometimes the right thing to do is no prosecution at all, or a withdrawal of the case, or an amendment, whatever it is. What about that? Getting to the truth of how in the world these live rounds got on the set. And it almost felt, at least to me, it felt to me like prosecutors like Carrie Morrissey didn't really seem to want to answer that. It was just, oh, we're just going to point the finger at Hannah Reed Gutierrez. But it was like, wait a second. What about Seth Kenney? What about the destruction of evidence on the set by Sarah Zachary, the woman who was working for Seth Kenney? All of that. Your thoughts on that, please?
So what's interesting to note in this case is there are so many possible contributory factors to the case. It's not a simple actus reus. One person did it, mens rea case, the criminal intent of the person. There's so many different variables in this case. And so it is a difficult case to prosecute. However, what can happen in these cases are sometimes, I teach a class on wrongful convictions, there's this kind of tunnel vision that happens in these prosecutions, not only by law enforcement, but also by prosecutors, that once somebody identifies somebody, the case, it's like a snowball effect. The evidence just keeps focusing on that person and kind of neglects to investigate other contributory factors.
Hey, Cynthia, you're so right. You're so right about this. As you were talking, I was thinking about that, about how Alec Baldwin has on his conscience, and he's got to live with the fact that this event took the life of someone that was very dear to him, someone that he considered a friend, a colleague. It's bad enough to have to live with that. And as an actor, he was told cold gun. He was told the gun is cold. We had a lawyer and a former armorer on the show who had worked with Alec Baldwin on film years ago, and he said Alec Baldwin hated firearms, that he would like hand it back to him. He described it as like touching a dirty diaper. Like he would hand it back to him like, oh, I don't even want to touch this. You take it. I don't want it in my hands. And to get that answer about, well, how in the world did the live rounds get in that gun? You would think that would be front and center for investigators, for prosecutors. And it always kind of seemed that the case was kind of done, well, you know, perhaps without that being at the top of the priority list, shall I say. Do you think that it was more attributable to investigators not figuring it out, or prosecutors not pushing their investigators to get that answer? Curious what you think, Cynthia.
So what I've seen in the cases that I've studied is, unfortunately, with law enforcement, from a law enforcement point of view, sometimes what they do is they investigate to the point of probable cause. Probable cause allows the officer to make an arrest. Once that's complete, law enforcement sometimes think, okay, I did my part in this. Let's give it to the prosecutor. And any new evidence after that, they kind of rely on the prosecutor to kind of figure out what to do with it. So I think to an extent it might be both. So I think that might come out in this trial.
Right. Such great insight from you always, Cynthia. I want to go back to that moment. This is one of the most stunning things I ever saw, when Carrie Morrissey decided to call herself as a witness in this case to try to stop the judge from kicking it and explain why she held back that evidence. Let's take a look.
Ammunition that is in the state of Arizona that has never left Arizona did not strike me that it had significant evidentiary value. Then, and I will say, I believe I actually saw a photo of it. At that point in time, I was able to look at the ammunition myself, and it was visibly dissimilar than the rounds from the set of Rust.
Cynthia, what do you think as we listen back to that clip?
When I saw this trial live, and actually I was showing it in a class, and it was just surprising. That's the best word I can come up with. very surprising. Carrie Morrissey was a criminal defense attorney. I don't know if she continues to be. She was a special prosecutor on this case. And the first advice we always give our clients is to remain silent. So I was surprised to see her on the stand. You know, it was a complete surprise to me.
Me too. And just a bad look. It looked very defensive. It seemed to be really going out of her lane, especially in that clip we showed where she's saying, I looked at the rounds and I thought they were dissimilar. And it's like, wait a minute. So suddenly you're an expert in firearms and ammunition and you're going to say, oh, this is relevant, not relevant. Yeah, for being someone so seasoned, and certainly she's had a really respectable career, you would think she wouldn't have made such a mistake. Well, we'll continue following this one as this is freshly filed, and so we'll see what kind of response we get to Alec Baldwin's lawsuit for malicious prosecution.